Welcome, sleepy soul. Tonight I am your storyteller, your guide through shadows and whispers. Here in the dark corners of imagination, every creak, every shadow, and every whisper has a story to tell. Welcome to Creepytalks, where the night never ends and the tales are waiting for you. I never believed a place could have a memory. People, yes. Objects, maybe. But houses were just wood and cement, or so I thought, until Winterwell. My name is Arjun Mehra, and in 2019, I bought a house that no one else wanted. It stood at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, away from the city's clutter. Tall oak trees surrounded it like guardians, or jailers. The neighborhood felt peaceful, almost staged. Small manicured lawns, old stone fences, pastel-colored homes. But Winterwell House number 37 looked wrong. It wasn't run down. That would have been easier to explain. Instead, it was perfect, unnaturally so. Clean white walls, windows that gleamed, tiles that looked recently polished. Everything too pristine, like someone kept preparing it, waiting. The real estate agent, a middle-aged woman with nervous eyes, hurried through the showing as if she feared the walls were listening. "It's been vacant for 6 years," she said. "Why?" I asked. She paused, lips tightening. "Families don't stay long, but legally I can't say more." That should have been my cue to walk away, but something about the house pulled me in. The floors didn't creak. The air felt still, heavy, like the silence before rain. The staircase spiraled up in smooth dark wood. Rooms were airy and bright. The kitchen had a long window that overlooked the back garden, a small patch of land wrapped in ivy. Nothing unusual, yet every hair on my arm stood up. The price was ridiculously low. I convinced myself it was a steal. I signed the papers. The first night on moving day, the house seemed almost eager. Sunlight spilled through every window. Boxes stacked neatly in the living room. I worked alone, sweating, humming to fill the silence. The electricity had been turned on for me. Still, the house felt cold. Not just cool, cold. I turned on the heater, no change. By evening, fog sank outside, swallowing the street. I microwaved leftover dal and sat on the floor to eat. I felt like something was watching me. A prickling sensation crawled on my neck. Every now and then, I glanced toward the staircase. I kept thinking someone was standing at the top. When I finally fell asleep on the mattress on the floor, the house exhaled in groans. Wood settling, pipes sighing. Typical, I told myself. But then, tap, tap, tap. I shot up. It came from the upstairs hallway. Soft, rhythmic, persistent. I held my breath. The tapping stopped. I told myself it was the heater or the pipes, buried myself beneath the blanket, and somehow drifted into uneasy sleep. The photograph. The next morning I unpacked, skimming through old belongings. In one box I found a small envelope I didn't recognize. No writing, no stamp, just sealed. Curious, I opened it. Inside was a single photograph, a family of 3, a man, a woman, and a young girl, smiling, standing in front of my house. House number 37 visible behind them. The girl held a yellow balloon. I checked the back. A single word inked in neat handwriting. Welcome. A chill spread through me. My first thought, some kind of joke from the previous owner. But that didn't explain how it ended up inside my moving box. I left it on the kitchen counter and tried to forget it. Voices in the air around noon. I heard faint laughter from upstairs. A girl's. Light and echoing, like a bell. But I was alone. I froze, listening. Nothing. I called out, "Hello?" No reply. The staircase waited. dark even in daylight. I climbed, step by shaky step. The upper hallway was empty. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, all silent. I opened each door. Nothing. But in the 3rd bedroom, the smallest, the air was freezing, breath fog visible. At the far wall, wallpaper had peeled slightly, exposing bare plaster. Beneath it, faint markings, lines as if a child had scratched on the wall. I reached out to pull the paper back. The moment I touched it, a sharp thud shook the wall. I stumbled back. Heart hammering, I stared. The wall fell silent. I hesitated, then left the room, shutting the door. As I walked away, I heard faint whispering behind it. I pretended not to. Night 2, I slept badly. Again. Sometime past midnight, I woke to soft footsteps upstairs. Slow, barefoot, moving from one end of the hallway to the other. I sat up, muscles tight. Then silence. I waited. My mind battled itself. Investigate or hide? I chose to investigate. The old wooden stairs were colder than ice. Each step felt heavier than the last. Halfway up, I realized the footsteps had returned. Above me this time. Pacing, I reached the top. The hallway was dark. Too dark. I tapped the switch. The lights flickered, then steadied. Empty. But from the 3rd bedroom came a soft sobbing. A child's sob. That same cold dread from yesterday gripped my spine. I reached the door and slowly turned the knob. Inside, the temperature dropped instantly. Frost webbed the window. And in the corner sat a small wooden music box I had never seen before. Its lid slowly opened by itself. A lullaby began playing. Soft, broken. No child. Just the box. I felt a force behind me, like someone standing too close, breathing against my neck. I spun. Nothing. The music box slowed and stopped. I backed out of the room and slammed the door, my breath fogging. I didn't sleep again. The man next door. The following morning, I stepped outside just to breathe normal air. My neighbor, a gray-haired man with sunken cheeks, was tending his roses. He noticed me and hurried over, eyes sharp. "You bought that house?" he asked, voice rough. "Yes." He hesitated, gripping his rake. "You should leave." My heart skipped. "Why?" But his gaze shifted to the windows of my house, uneasy. "Just don't be there after dark," he whispered. Before I could question him, he walked away, refusing to look back. I stood there, feeling the trees watching. That evening when I returned inside, the photograph on the kitchen counter had changed. It still showed the family. The same man, woman, girl. But now, the girl's balloon was gone. And in her little hand, she held a music box, the same one upstairs. And on the back, someone had written a new word beneath the first. "We're here." I dropped the photo, hands trembling. Then, from upstairs, the lullaby began to play again. Slow, sad, calling. And this time, a voice whispered my name. "Arjun." The moment I heard my name whispered, every instinct screamed at me to run. Instead, I stood frozen, staring at the staircase as the lullaby drifted downward, delicate and broken, like someone dragging a music box through water. "Arjun!" The voice came again, faint, breathy, unmistakably a child's. I backed toward the front door, fingers shaking as they found the lock. Something inside me said, "If you open it, you won't get out." I stopped. The music faded. Silence pressed in, thick and suffocating. I forced myself to breathe. I needed logic, a reason. "I'm imagining this," I whispered. "I'm tired." It sounded weak, even to me. The house disagreed. A soft patter of feet descended the stairs. Slow, dragging steps on wood. I stepped away, my back against the wall. The footsteps stopped halfway down. Silence. I lifted my eyes toward the stairs. Someone small stood there. A child. A little girl, maybe 6 or 7, wearing a faded white dress that looked too old for modern times. Her hair hung messily over her face, hiding her expression. She held something in her hands, clutched to her chest. The music box. I couldn't move. My voice felt trapped. She tilted her head, and I saw a single dark eye peering through the hair. It didn't look human. Too hollow. Too cold. "Play with me," she whispered. The lights flickered violently, buzzing like angry flies. And then, the hall plunged into darkness. I bolted, slamming my shoulder into the front door. It wouldn't budge. Locked, stuck. I twisted the knob until my skin burned. Nothing. Behind me, the girl giggled, soft, delighted. The air grew colder. My breath fogged as I whispered, "Please." The house answered by going still. Dead still. Then, click. The door unlocked on its own. I didn't think. I threw it open and sprinted into the night air, tripping down the porch steps. Gravel stabbed my palms, but I kept running across the yard and onto the street. I didn't stop until I reached the neighbor's house. I banged on the door. "Please, open, please." The lights inside flicked on. The gray-haired man appeared, looking half terrified, half unsurprised. He opened the door and grabbed my arm, pulling me inside. "You saw her," he said, voice shaking. I nodded, still gasping for breath. His face fell. "I told you, you shouldn't be there after dark." The neighbor's warning. His name was Thomas Hale. He handed me a blanket and tea, and we sat in his living room. The place looked old, filled with mismatched furniture and framed paintings of people I didn't recognize. "You're the third," he said quietly. My throat tightened. "Third what?" "Third person to run here after seeing the girl." My mouth went dry. He continued, staring into his mug. "The family in the photo. They lived there before you, and the ones before them. They left things behind. They all do. What happened to them?" He didn't answer right away. "People disappear from that house," he finally said. "The family before last vanished. No trace. The police called it a getaway, but they left everything they owned, even their wallets. And the ones after." He looked away, voice barely above a whisper. "They escaped, but the father was never the same. Spoke in riddles. Said the house remembers. Said it feeds." A chill slid through my spine. "What does it want?" I asked. Thomas shook his head. "No one knows. Some say the house takes what it lost. Some say it chooses." I thought of the girl, her hollow eye, her whisper. "Why didn't anyone warn me?" He sighed. "Because no one believes us. We tried. The agents call us crazy, superstitious. They want to sell the house, so they pretend." My hands tightened around the mug. "So what do I do?" Thomas looked at me with pity. "Don't go back." A hopeless laugh escaped me. "Everything I own is there." He didn't blink. "Things can be replaced. You can't." I slept in his guest room that night, or tried to. But every time I closed my eyes, I heard the faint lullaby replaying, looping behind my thoughts. Back inside, morning sunlight made everything feel embarrassingly harmless. I convinced myself I'd exaggerated things in the dark. Thomas begged me not to return alone. I promised I wouldn't. I lied. By noon, I was standing in my driveway, staring at the house. It looked perfectly normal. Bright, still, innocent. Too innocent. I stepped inside. The silence was heavy but not hostile. I didn't know if that comforted me or scared me more. Everything looked exactly as I'd left it, except the photograph. It now lay in the center of the living room floor. The girl still held the music box. but her head was turned toward me, staring straight at the camera, and her smile stretched too wide. I swallowed hard, picked up the picture, and shoved it into a drawer without looking again. I reminded myself I was here only to pack. I grabbed boxes and hurried upstairs. The hallway was silent. The third bedroom door was closed. I didn't plan to enter it, but as I passed, the smell of cold earth seeped from the gap beneath the door, and something scraped softly inside, like fingernails on wood. I backed away. My bedroom was safer, bright, untouched. I threw clothes into suitcases, not caring if they wrinkled. As I stuffed things in, something tugged lightly on my shirt. I spun. Nothing. Silence. Then a whisper from behind me. "Don't go!" I grabbed my suitcase and ran. Down the hallway, down the stairs, and froze. The front door was wide open. Wind chilled the entryway. Beyond the door, the world looked oddly distant, gray, blurred, as if viewed through a warped lens. Standing in the doorway was the girl. This time I saw her fully. Her skin was pale, bruised blue at the fingertips. A thin slice of red stained her neck, like something had been wrapped tightly around it. Her eyes, both visible now, didn't shine. They absorbed light. She tilted her head slowly, hair slipping off her shoulder. "Stay with us." Her voice layered, not one but many, men, women, children. I stepped back, shaking. "No," I whispered. She smiled, that same too-wide smile, and extended the music box in her hands. It clicked open. The lullaby began, slow at first, then warping, notes bending, twisting into something jagged and wrong. The house groaned. Doors slammed upstairs. A deep rumbling rose beneath the floorboards, shaking the walls. The air thickened, pressing against my lungs. The girl took one step toward me, then another. Behind her, silhouettes formed in the fog outside. Tall, thin shapes standing motionless, heads bowed. Dozens, maybe more. Watching. My body trembled uncontrollably. She whispered again, a soft echo crawling beneath my skin. "We've been waiting." And the front door slammed shut. Lights died. Darkness swallowed me whole. Darkness. I couldn't see my hands, my feet, the walls. Nothing. Only the faint, distorted lullaby twisting through the black. I groped for my phone. My fingers shook so hard I dropped it. The music warped into something metallic, scraping at the inside of my skull. Breathe. Just breathe. A faint blue glow flickered near the staircase, like moonlight leaking through water. Slowly, shapes emerged from the dark. Not furniture, not shadows. People. Dozens of translucent figures lined the hallway, standing shoulder to shoulder. Their faces were blurred, smudged like paint in rain, but their eyes shone like wet marbles. They didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. In the center of them stood the little girl, her music box still churning its broken lullaby. "Stay," she whispered, voice layered, vibrating. I stumbled backward, but the house felt wrong. Stretched, warped, like space itself had twisted. My hand brushed against the wall, cold, damp. Suddenly the floor shuddered beneath me. A groan rumbled up through the house, deep and mournful, like something breathing just beneath the wood. The portraits on the wall trembled, each frame rattling in its place. The girl blinked once, slow, mechanical. "Down," she murmured. The floorboards beneath my feet split. I fell, the basement that didn't exist. I crashed onto hard earth, soil and rotting leaves. It smelled wet, sour, ancient. Groaning, I pushed myself up. The only light came from a small, flickering bulb hanging from a wire above. It wasn't enough to see much. Only that the basement was massive, deeper than it should be. The ceiling soared high above like a cavern, but the house didn't have a basement. I'd asked the agent, I'd checked the plans, yet here I was. Dirt covered the ground. Roots dangled from the ceiling like dead fingers. In the shadows, I saw shapes. Piles, maybe? I crawled closer, heart pounding. Not piles. Toys, broken dolls, rusted tricycles, a one-eyed teddy bear, puzzle pieces, wooden blocks, all scattered across the dirt like the remains of forgotten childhoods. A chill ran through me. I reached for a small doll lying face down. The moment my fingers brushed it, a voice whispered in my ear, breath cold. "He lost me." I flung it away, scrambling back. My breath came fast, shaky. Something moved at the far end of the basement, slow, dragging. Footsteps. I crouched low, watching. From the darkness, a figure emerged. A man, or what used to be one. His body was thin, starved, his limbs bent wrong, like they'd been broken and healed badly. His skin hung loose, gray, and his head jerked with each step. His eyes, sunken, glassy, stared without seeing. He crawled more than walked, dragging a chain around his ankle that scraped against stone. A half scream clawed up my throat. His jaw unhinged slightly as he rasped, "Where is she?" I backed away slowly. He crept closer, sniffing the air like an animal. "She was here. She was." His fingers grazed the dirt, digging, desperate. "She wanted the music. She wanted—" The lullaby echoed through the cavern, louder now. The man froze. His head snapped upward. "No! No! No!" He scrambled back into the darkness, wailing. Silence swallowed his cries. My heart hammered painfully. I scanned the basement for an exit. Then, something grabbed my ankle. I screamed, kicking wildly. My foot connected with something soft. A groan followed. I crawled into the shadows, pressing myself against a dirt wall. The bulb flickered and died. Pitch black. I fumbled for my phone again, hands shaking, wiping dirt from the screen. It lit for a moment, enough to show me the wall. And on it, children's drawings, dozens, maybe hundreds, drawn directly onto the earth and stone. Crude figures holding hands, smiling faces, balloons, animals, and always, a house, my house. Stick figure families stood before the same tall, white house, drawn over and over, different families, but the same building. Some of the drawings had black X's through the parents. Others had only the house. No people at all. Then I saw a figure drawn repeatedly, always beside the house. A little girl with long hair, the same child. Beneath one drawing, in shaky handwriting, were 4 words. "She took us all." My phone flickered, then died. Before I could move, something whispered behind me. So close I felt its breath. "Arjun!" I spun. Nothing. Feet sinking into damp soil, I ran blindly, hands outstretched. The darkness pressed around me, suffocating, swallowing every sound. Then, a faint glow ahead. I stumbled toward it. A single wooden door stood in the earth, half buried. Old, rotting. It shouldn't be here. But the light seeped from beneath it, faint like a candle dying. I grabbed the rusted handle and pulled. The door creaked open. Inside, a narrow tunnel stretched forward, lined with old wooden beams. The glow came from far ahead, flickering like a heartbeat. I stepped in. The air grew colder. A slow drip echoed through the passage. My fingers brushed the beam beside me, splinters and something sticky. I wiped my hand on my jeans, refusing to wonder what it was. As I crept farther, I heard it, crying, soft, childlike. It echoed through the tunnel, aching and lonely. I followed it. Around a bend, the tunnel widened into a small room. In the center sat the girl, knees to chest, face buried in her arms. The music box rested beside her, silent now. She looked human, fragile. "Hey," I whispered, voice trembling. "Are you hurt?" She didn't move. I took a cautious step closer. "What's your name?" Slowly she lifted her head. Her face was streaked with dirt. Her eyes, no longer hollow, looked glassy with tears. "They won't let me leave," she whispered. I swallowed. "Who won't?" She pointed behind me. I turned. The tunnel was gone. Only black walls, seamless, solid. No exit. I spun back toward the girl, but she was standing now, silent, trembling. Her eyes darkened, swallowing all light. "They're here." The music box sprang open on its own, the lullaby exploding into the chamber. Louder than ever, distorted into screams woven into melody. The ground trembled. Hands burst from the walls. Dozens, clawing out of the dirt, reaching, grabbing. Thin, skeletal hands, children's hands, adult hands, all covered in soil. They pulled themselves free. Bodies emerged, eyes hollow, mouths open in soundless terror. The girl's face twisted into a nightmare grin. "You belong here!" The hands surged toward me. I screamed. There was no sensation of falling, just a sudden end to the world, as if someone cut reality from under me. I landed on something soft, soil maybe, but my hands sank deeper than they should, like the earth was swallowing me. I scrambled upright, panting. My fingers brushed against something smooth. I thought it was stone. It wasn't. I yanked my hand away. It was a skull. A low groan drifted around me, not from one direction, but everywhere, echoing, like the earth itself was mourning. Dim light pushed back the dark. A sickly glow pulsed from the ground, illuminating a cavern far larger than the basement above. The soil was packed with bones, human bones, tangled like roots. Some still wore scraps of clothing. Some still had hair. My stomach lurched. I wasn't standing in dirt. I was standing on graves. My breath came out broken. "God, help!" The light pulsed again, and I saw movement. Not shadows, bodies, half buried, writhing gently, as if restless in sleep. Their chests didn't rise. Their mouths didn't open. But their fingers twitched, clawing weakly at the earth, as though trying to climb out or pull me in. I forced myself to step carefully between them, searching for a wall, a passage, anything not made of death. The soft echo of a cry drifted through the cavern. A child, sobbing. It came from ahead, the sound bouncing off bones and stone. I followed. The ground sloped downward and the bones thinned, replaced by thick roots coated with dark sap. They twisted like veins, pulsing softly. The sobbing grew clearer. As I rounded a stone pillar, I froze. A girl, not the same ghostly child, sat curled near the wall, hugging her knees. Maybe 14 or 15, wearing muddy jeans and a tattered hoodie. Her face streaked with tears and dirt. She was alive. "Hey," I whispered. "Hey, I'm here to help you." She flinched, eyes wide with terror. "No, no! You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't." I raised my hands. "It's okay. We'll find a way out." She shook violently. "There is no way out. She won't let us go." "She?" I whispered. The girl's gaze slid over my shoulder. She went still. I turned. The familiar child, the one in the white dress, stood among the roots. Only now her face was wrong. Not the broken sadness, not the hollow eyes. This time she looked furious. Her little hands clenched. Roots twitched behind her feet, rising like snakes. "She found you," the older girl whispered. Now she keeps you. The music box in the child's hand snapped open. The lullaby, warped and shrieking, tore through the cavern. The ground convulsed. Roots exploded upward, wrapping around limbs, ribs, skulls, dragging the dead deeper. I grabbed the older girl's arm. Run! We bolted, sprinting through the cavern as the earth quaked. The child didn't move. She just watched us flee, her grin widening, black eyes gleaming. Roots ripped through the soil behind us, hungry. We ran, but the cavern stretched endlessly. Too large, too deep. There was nowhere to go. Ahead, a narrow crack split the stone wall, just wide enough to squeeze through. There, I shouted. We dove inside as roots smashed into the rock behind us, screeching like metal under strain. The passage was tight, pitch dark. We crawled on hands and knees, the stones scraping clothing and skin. Behind us, the lullaby's warped melody seeped through the cracks, trying to follow us like a voice that didn't need space to travel. Who are you? I whispered. The girl panted beside me. My name is Mira. How long have you been here? Her voice cracked. I don't know. Days, maybe weeks, she swallowed. I only came to find my little sister. We were playing outside, and she just vanished. I felt cold sink into my bones. The house? She nodded. She was near the gate. Then she was gone. I followed footprints, into the yard, and then I woke up here. The passage sloped down sharply. I gripped the stone to keep from sliding. Have you seen her? I asked. Mira trembled. I think so. I hear her singing sometimes, but I can't get to her. The house won't let me. We crawled in the silence until the passage widened into another chamber. This one wasn't filled with bones. It was filled with furniture, children's beds, tiny tables, broken chairs, rocking horses, cribs, all buried in dust. Some pieces looked new. Others could have been decades old. Toys were scattered everywhere. A child's room, multiplied 100 times. Why would this be here? I breathed. Mira whispered. She keeps what she takes. At the far end of the chamber stood a door. Wrong. Familiar. It was the same door to the third bedroom in my house, even the peeling paint. My heart pounded. We go through, I said. Mira grabbed my wrist. No, that room is hers, I swallowed. We can't stay here. Footsteps whispered behind us. Soft, bare feet on dirt. We turned. The little girl stood at the passage entrance, music box slowly rotating. The lullaby sputtered, then bled into harsh static. She stepped into the chamber. Dozens of toys snapped upright, turning to face her, mechanical, possessed. Her eyes locked onto mine. You came back, she said softly. Mira squeezed my arm so tight her nails dug into my skin. I didn't mean to, I stammered. Yes, you did. Her head tilted. You heard us. The toys began to twitch, heads jerking, limbs popping, glass eyes spinning. Broken dolls twisted into grotesque shapes, porcelain faces cracking. You should have stayed, the girl whispered. I took a step toward the door. She mirrored me, step for step. You were chosen. The toys crawled now, dragging themselves across the floor with jerky motions. My pulse thundered. I grabbed Mira's hand and ran. The girl screamed, a shrill, unnatural sound that rattled the air. Toys leapt, clawing at our legs, tearing fabric, scraping skin. We fought through them, kicking, stumbling. We reached the door, slammed into it, locked. No, no, please, Mira sobbed. The girl's voice slithered behind us. You're part of us now. I spun, grabbing a broken chair leg from the floor. I raised it like a weapon. The child's eyes burned black. Roots erupted through the stone floor. One wrapped Mira's ankle. She screamed as it yanked her backward. Mira! I lunged, grabbing her arms. The root tightened, dragging her toward the child. Dirt exploded, toys flung aside. More roots sprouted, crawling over her legs, torso, binding her. Let her go! The girl's grin spread wider than skin should allow. They always fight. The roots dragged Mira into the darkness. She shrieked until the sound choked off, swallowed by earth. I was alone. The child stepped closer. One more. I raised the chair leg to strike. She whispered, The house remembers you. Before I could swing, the floor collapsed, and I plunged into deeper dark. There was no sound while falling, only pressure, like sinking underwater. Then I slammed onto cold stone. Pain burst through my shoulder. I groaned, rolling onto my back. My breath came in sharp jolts as I tried to understand where I was. The darkness retreated slowly, replaced by a pale gray glow. I was in a corridor, long, narrow. Stone walls stretched in both directions, floor damp beneath me. Above, thick beams ran like ribs through the ceiling. The air was still, too still. No wind, no life. Yet I felt watched. I stood, wincing, and started down the corridor. My footsteps echoed. Then, another echo answered. Not mine. I froze. A figure stepped into the dim glow ahead. A man, tall, gaunt, dressed in a white shirt stained with dirt. His hair hung loose around his face. His eyes were blank. He stared, unmoving. Hello? My voice cracked. He tilted his head, slow, like the child. You came back, he whispered. Something familiar about him. The face. The father from the photo. The one standing with the smiling woman and child. The man didn't smile now. I saw your picture, I stammered. In the house. His lips twitched. They welcomed you too. Where's your family? Your daughter? His eyes flickered with pain. Or rage. I couldn't tell. She took them. His voice cracked. The house keeps what it wants. His stare burrowed into me. You shouldn't have come. I didn't know. No one knows, he whispered. Not until they hear her. The girl? He shook his head violently. Not a girl. She isn't a child. She only wears one. I felt the air tighten. What is she? He stepped closer, breath trembling. She was the first. That hung in the air, confusing, heavy. The first what? He seemed to struggle for words. The house was built for her. Or maybe she built it. No one remembers now. She brings them in. She keeps them with her. His voice lowered. She feeds. I felt the corridor closing in around us. I need to get out, I said. His eyes softened, almost pitying. There is no out. No, there must be. You are here. You're not dead. He blinked slowly. Not alive. Not dead. We are the dreaming ones. Those who tried to leave, he raised his hand. The skin of his palm was covered in dark symbols. Circles, lines, spirals burned deep. This keeps me from becoming hers, he whispered. I stared. What does that mean? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. The house doesn't just want bodies. It wants your mind, your memories, your guilt. It becomes you. You become it. He leaned in. Once you forget your name, you belong to her forever. I shivered. He looked suddenly terrified, eyes darting to the darkness behind me. She is coming. My body froze. He backed away. You must run. I didn't need telling twice. I sprinted down the corridor. My footsteps pounded, heartbeat roaring. Behind me, I heard the man whisper, Don't forget who you are. Then, silence. I kept running until the corridor split into two. Left, pitch black. Right, dim light flickering. I chose the light. The tunnel sloped upward, ceiling lowering until I had to crouch. Roots snaked across the floor, pulsing faintly. A whisper followed me. Arjun, her voice. Closer I crawled faster, heart slamming against my ribs. The tunnel widened into a small chamber. A single lantern flickered on a wooden table. The glow lit a cluster of objects laid out neatly. A child's shoe, a wedding ring, a broken pair of glasses, a rusted pocket watch, a locket. Inside the locket was a picture of the man from the corridor, with the woman and little girl, the same family. The watch ticked slowly, though its glass was shattered. Each item had a tag tied to it. Names, dates, dozens scattered across the floor, all ending with no return. I backed away, shaking. A soft creak sounded behind me. I turned. A door stood at the far wall, old, rotting, unnatural here underground. It matched the hallway doors upstairs. I stepped toward it, hesitating. If this was the same house, I could be closer to escape, or deeper inside the nightmare. The lantern dimmed. From the tunnel came dragging footsteps. Closer, I grabbed the lantern, clutching it with both hands, and threw the door open. Darkness waited, thick and silent. The footsteps quickened. No choice. I ran inside and slammed the door behind me. The rooms that shift. The room was familiar, my living room, or a version of it. The arrangement was wrong. Walls slightly too tall, windows crooked, colors muted, like painted from memory. The TV was on, but the screen showed only static. The couch was there, but coated in a thin film of dust. From upstairs, faint humming drifted down. A child's voice, the same lullaby, slow, sweet, deadly. I backed toward the door, but it was gone. No seam, no handle, just solid wall. My breath hitched. Think, I whispered. Think. The humming grew closer. I scanned the room. The photograph lay on the coffee table. The same family, father, mother, girl. But this time, only the mother and father stood smiling. The child was gone. I lifted the photo with trembling hands. Words were scrawled across the back. Don't trust her. The humming stopped. Silence. Then, a soft patter of feet above, coming down the stairs. I pressed myself against the wall. The footsteps reached the bottom step. Paused. Slowly. A woman stepped into the room. The mother from the picture. Her eyes were wide, pupils huge and black. Her smile trembled on her lips. Too strained, too desperate. You came back, she whispered. I swallowed. I'm trying to leave. Her head twitched, fast, jerky. No leaving, she said. It hurts her. Who? She wants to play. Her voice cracked. We all play. She stepped closer, skin pale, veins dark beneath. Maybe if you stay, she whispered, she'll let me go. Her face twisted, hopeful, pleading, broken. I began. She screamed, so loud I dropped the lantern. It shattered. Sparks died. Darkness swallowed us. Her hands reached for me, cold, trembling. Then, the room lit with blue glow. The little girl stood behind her. Her hand rested on the woman's shoulder. The woman went still, silent, her eyes filled with tears. Please, she mouthed. The girl's smile widened, and the woman collapsed. Like strings cut, her body hit the floor, empty, hollow. I stumbled back, choking. The girl turned to me, music box humming softly. You're almost ours. I bolted toward the hallway, only to crash into a wall. No door, no exit. The house shifted, walls folded, stretched, bent like soft clay. The girl's footsteps echoed, slow, certain, trapping me. My thoughts spiraled. The father's warning, don't forget who you are, I whispered to myself. My name is Arjun Mehra. I live, I live, I live. The house trembled. The girl hissed. I screamed it. Arjun Mera! The wall rippled, and a door appeared. I didn't question. I ran through it, and the world changed again. I stumbled through the doorway and fell into damp earth. Soil packed beneath my palms. An acrid, mold-sweet smell filled my lungs. The air here was colder, almost winter-like. When I lifted my head, I saw faint, sickly light filtering through the roots hanging above me like tangled veins. I was in a forest cellar, a hollow beneath the ground. Roots twisted everywhere, pulsing slowly like living muscle. The door behind me was gone. I stood, shaky, brushing mud from my clothes. The dirt beneath my feet felt soft, too soft, like something moved inside it. Far ahead, a faint glow flickered, like candlelight. I crept toward it. The space opened wider, ceiling higher, roots thicker. Some roots were carved with symbols, the same ones burned into the Father's hand. A shiver rippled across my skin. As I moved deeper, I found 3 wooden chairs arranged around a wooden table, all facing outward as though watching the darkness. Each chair held a figure. I froze. Their bodies were dry, gray, nearly mummified, but their clothes were intact. A woman in a sari, a man in construction overalls, a young teenage boy. Their faces were frozen in terror, mouths slightly open. Their hands were tied to the chairs by roots that pierced their wrists like needles. I felt bile rise. A whisper drifted between them. Help us! Their lips hadn't moved. I stepped closer, breath shaking. The boy's head suddenly jerked, eyes snapping open, milky and unfocused. I gasped, stumbling back. His voice was a faint croak. Leave! The woman's head twitched next. Run! She choked. The man's words came last. Nothing but rasping air. She listens. The roots tightened around them, like warning. I stepped away slowly, heart pounding. From behind the figures, a soft drip, drip, drip echoed. Red liquid trickled down a huge root trunk that pierced the ceiling, descending into the earth like an ancient tree limb. Blood. The trunk pulsed, alive. My instincts screamed to run. I backed away, but the boy spoke again, louder, straining. Don't look at her! A cold breath slid across my neck. I turned. Nothing. Then, a face emerged beside me, half-formed in the roots, like flesh grown wrong, a little girl's face, her mouth shaped an impossible grin, stretching too far. Found you, she whispered. I lurched backward, tripping over a chair. The seated woman shrieked, voice splitting the air. Go! Their bodies convulsed violently, as though trying to distract her. Seizing the moment, I sprinted toward the faint glow ahead. Roots whipped against my legs, slicing skin. I bit back a scream, running faster. The tunnel grew narrower. Roots scraped my shoulders, trying to hold me. Ahead, a ladder. Wood. Old. Shaking. I climbed without hesitation. The girl's voice echoed behind me. You can't climb away. I didn't look back. Hands shaking, I climbed. Higher, higher. Light grew brighter overhead. A hatch. I shoved it open and burst into a dark room. The air was stale. Dust thick. Cobwebs clung to my shirt. I pulled myself up and slammed the hatch closed. Silence. No voice. No humming. Just my own ragged breath. I rose slowly, eyes adjusting. It looked like an attic. Boxes stacked high. Old trunks. Broken picture frames. Sheets draped over forgotten furniture. The moon shone through a small round window behind me. I moved toward it, desperate for real sky. Outside, the neighborhood. Winterwell Road. Normal. Silent. Empty. I could see my car. Only a few meters away on the street. Hope surged. There was no latch on the window. just a simple lock. I twisted it, rust resisted, then gave way. I pushed the window open. Cold air rushed in, real air. My pulse raced. I could escape. I put a leg on the sill. A whisper lifted from behind me. Arjun! I froze. The room darkened, moonlight twisting into shadow. Slowly I turned. A figure stood at the far end of the attic, slumped, shaking. Not the girl, someone taller. He stepped forward. I recognized him instantly. The father. But he was wrong. His eyes were gone, empty sockets. His skin was marked with the same symbols, carved deep, bleeding black sap. Roots sprouted from his back, trailing behind him like twitching tails. His mouth opened unnaturally wide. You forgot, he gurgled. I shook my head. No, I remembered. I said my name. He lifted a trembling finger, pointing toward the open window. Not enough, he whispered. She is always between you and the door. His chest shuddered. Roots jerked him like a puppet. She knows you want to leave. I glanced at the open night, so close. He staggered closer, dripping black. I tried, he whispered. I tried to save them. But she took them piece by piece. Now, Roots snapped tight. His body jerked upright. A child's voice came through his mouth. You're mine. I backed toward the window. I won't stay, I hissed. He lurched forward impossibly fast. I jumped, halfway through the window. His hand gripped my ankle. Roots slithered up his wrist, binding us together. Black veins crawled up my skin. I screamed, kicking wildly. His empty sockets stared into me, grief buried in endless dark. Don't, he whispered, voice his own again, just for a heartbeat. Don't end like me. His grip loosened. I tore my leg free and fell. Cold air rushed around me, weightless, helpless, until the ground hit hard. Everything went white. My breath knocked out. My head spun. The sky above was the same dark canvas of stars. The attic window loomed above. I could hear nothing. I pushed myself up, dazed. My leg burned where his fingers had touched. Black marks crawling under the skin, faint but spreading. No time. I staggered as fast as I could toward the car. Just a few steps more. The house lights flickered on. Every window glowed. Silhouettes stood in each one, tall, still, watching, dozens. They turned their heads in perfect unison, toward me. A child's giggle carried through the night. My heart froze. I fumbled with the car door, hands shaking wildly. The lock clicked. I threw myself in, slammed the door, and jammed the key. The engine sputtered, caught, started. Headlights flared, illuminating the house. The front door began to open, slow, inviting. The girl stepped onto the porch, music box in her hand, lullaby chiming. Her voice drifted to me, soft and sweet. You're late. Come home, I floored the accelerator. The tires screamed. The car shot forward. As I passed the house, her face twisted. A mask of hunger, ancient and furious. The windows shattered outward, erupting with dark figures, spilling onto the street, reaching, chasing. I didn't look back. I just drove, faster, faster, until the house disappeared into shadow. I kept driving long after the road ended, through fields, dirt, darkness, until I could no longer see Winterwell Road. Only then did I stop, breath broken, hands numb. I was free, but my leg, the dark veins were spreading, and faintly, almost too soft to hear, the music box played from inside the car. I was not alone. The music box melody rose from somewhere behind me, soft, sweet, rotting. I gripped the steering wheel so tightly I felt my nails bite into my palms. No, I whispered. I forced myself to turn. The back seat was empty. No girl, No music box, just shadows. But the song continued. My skin crawled. It wasn't coming from the back seat. It was coming from inside me. A faint vibration trembled beneath my skin, traveling up my leg, the same one the father had grabbed. The black veins pulsed along my calf, glowing faintly in the dark, as though whispering. I swallowed bile. Think, Arjun. Think. I threw open the car door and stumbled into the night air. The melody faded slightly but didn't stop. My leg throbbed, each beat syncing with the song. Panic clawed at my chest. Far in the distance, the road curved back toward Winterwell. The house was invisible now, swallowed by the night. But I felt it, pulling. I staggered toward a nearby tree and leaned my weight against it. The cold bark grounded me just enough to think. The father's words echoed, "Once you forget your name, you belong to her forever." I whispered to myself, again, "My name is Arjun Mehra. I live. But this time the veins tightened, as if resisting the memory. The music swelled, discordant now, as though the house itself was angry. My breath hitched. "I won't go back," I hissed. The wind sighed. Grass rustled. No answer. But I knew she could hear me. I stumbled onward, away from the road, deeper into the open fields. A faint glow appeared ahead, warm, flickering, a bonfire. For a moment I thought it was a hallucination. But as I limped closer, figures came into view. 6, maybe 7, silhouetted against the flames. They stood in a loose circle, chanting low. Not children, not twisted things. People. Hope flared. I called out, "Hey!" Their heads turned all at once. Somewhere deep inside I expected black eyes and horrible smiles. But instead, they looked terrified. A woman separated from the group and ran toward me. "You!" she shouted. "Don't move!" Her urgency froze me in place. She raised a lantern, shining its light over my body, searching. Her gaze dropped to my leg, to the spreading black veins. Her face drained of color. "Rooted," she whispered. The others hurried over, forming a loose perimeter. One, a tall man with an old scar across his cheek, stepped forward, holding a thick rope with strange symbols painted along it. "Sit," he ordered. I hesitated. "We can help you," the woman said quickly. "If we do nothing, she'll take you." The music inside my leg intensified, faster, hungrier. I lowered myself to the ground. The tall man knelt, wrapping the rope above the infected area. The moment it tightened, I screamed, agony ripping through me. The music faltered, glitched, like a record skipping. Good. The man tightened the rope once more. The veins recoiled slightly, trembling beneath my skin. The woman held my face, forcing my eyes to hers. "What's your name?" "Arjun Mehra." My breath shook. She nodded. "Good. Hold on to that." Behind her, the fire hissed. The others resumed chanting in a language I didn't know. The flames flared green for a moment, then settled. Time seemed to stretch. The tall man stood. "That will slow it," he said, "but it won't stop it." I swallowed. "What is it?" "That mark means the house touched you," he said. "You walked between walls and survived." "That was luck," the woman muttered. "No," the man said. "The house doesn't make mistakes. If it marked him, it wants him." He looked at me and spoke grimly. "She has chosen you." My blood ran cold. "Chosen me for what?" He hesitated. "To finish what began when the house was built." I stared at him, lost. "I don't know what that means." "You will," he said. "Soon." I tried to stand, but the woman gently pushed me back down. "You need to rest," she said. "Dawn is close." Only then did I notice the faint light brightening the eastern horizon. Dawn. I hadn't seen real sunlight since entering Winterwell Road. The chanting faded. The figures lowered their heads and stepped back from the fire. The tall man sat beside me. "We're called the Estranged," he said. "We tried to leave her once. She didn't let us." "You live there?" I asked. He nodded once. "Different years, different families, same end." "And you escaped?" His jaw tightened. "Some of us." I scanned the group. Their faces were hollow, exhausted, haunted. Some had faint black veins beneath their skin, hidden by bandages. Others clutched talismans carved from wood or bone. "How can I stop this?" I asked, desperate. "You can't stop it," he said. "You can only free her." "Free her?" "The girl," he said. "She was trapped, bound. The house was built as her prison, but it twisted, became her body, her world. Now she's no longer child or spirit, not alive, not dead." He paused. "She feeds on those who enter, until they forget who they were. Then they become part of her house." I felt sick. "What about the father?" he said. The man nodded slowly. "We knew him. He tried harder than anyone to break her hold. But in the end," he didn't finish. The woman sat beside us. "Some say the only way to free her is to burn the root." I remembered the giant, pulsing root in the cellar, dripping blood. "If she loses the root," the woman continued, "she loses her world. Everyone she's taken might be released." "Might?" I repeated. She looked away. "Or she might collapse into everyone she has consumed, binding us forever." "And the house?" "It dies," the tall man said, "or becomes something worse." Silence fell. My leg throbbed, musical pulses echoing in my bones. I clenched my fists. "I have to try." The man studied me. "Most who try never return." "Then I'll be the first." He gave a faint, bitter smile. "You sound like him." "The father?" "Yes." A strange heaviness filled the air. The tall man stood and extended his hand. "If you truly mean to kill the root," he said, "you'll need a way back in. The house won't open for you again." "Not willingly," I frowned. "Then how?" "We know a hidden entrance," he said. "It's how we escaped." The others stirred, fear creeping across their faces. The woman whispered, "Elias, you can't." He ignored her. I took his hand. "When do we go?" He looked toward the brightening sky. "Tonight," he said, "when the house is hungriest." The woman exhaled shakily, shaking her head. "Then pray," she murmured, "that she's still sleeping." Dawn bled over the distant hills, pale and hesitant. The flames of the estranged bonfire dimmed to embers, as though the light itself weakened their purpose. Elias, the tall man, motioned for me to sit. The others drifted into loose formations, keeping their distance, like even proximity to me was a danger. Maybe it was. The veins along my leg continued pulsing under the rope, though the beat was slower now, less urgent, more patient. Waiting. I glanced at Elias. "Why wait until tonight?" "Because the house's doors only open when she stirs. And she wakes with the moon," I swallowed. "So we just wait?" His expression hardened. "No. If you're going back, you need to understand what you're fighting." He pointed to the woman beside him, the one who'd helped bind my leg. "This is Mira. She was taken in 1997, stayed for 3 months before escaping." 3 months. I tried to imagine it and failed. Mira sat opposite me, her eyes distant, like she was still half inside the house. "She comes as a child because children are trusted," Mira said quietly. "But she hasn't been a child for a very long time." Elias continued. "No one knows her real age, or what she was before the house changed her." "She died," Mira whispered. "That much we know." The house was built over her grave, and her mother, broken by grief, called her back. Black ritual, Elias added. Old, forbidden. My skin prickled. What went wrong? Mira's voice trembled. She didn't come back alone. I stared. What does that mean? She came back with hunger, Elias said. Not for food, not for blood. For memory, Mira nodded weakly. She consumes people by erasing them, making them forget who they were. The weaker their identity becomes, the easier they fade into her walls. I felt my chest tighten. The father's warning echoed. Once you forget your name, you belong to her forever. I clenched my fists. I won't let that happen. Mira met my eyes. It already is. I stared at her, heart pounding. What? She gestured to my leg, the black veins spreading beneath my skin. That's not infection, she said. It's memory rot. She's feeding on your sense of self. Elias nodded grimly. The mark binds you to her. If it reaches your head, you'll start forgetting. I lifted a shaking hand to my temples. How long do I have? Mira hesitated. Hours. Maybe my throat dried. Elias leaned closer. Tonight, we strike. But you must hold on to your name, your memories, anything that reminds you who you are. I nodded numbly. Why me? I asked quietly. So many before me. Why me? Elias hesitated. We think she's weakening, he said, more desperate. She's marking outsiders faster. She may be preparing for something, Mira shuddered. Or someone. Before I could ask, she stood abruptly. You need rest. If you sleep by firelight, she can't reach you. I didn't argue. Exhaustion hit me suddenly, heavy and absolute. They laid a blanket near the embers. A carved totem, an animal skull etched with symbols, was placed beside me. Hold it, Mira instructed. It'll help keep your mind here. I wrapped my fingers around the totem. It was warm, unexpectedly warm, as though alive. My eyes drifted shut, and darkness claimed me. The dreaming room. I opened my eyes to find myself standing in a bedroom, my old bedroom. From childhood, the posters, the broken cricket bat, the scar on the wall from when I'd tripped in the dark. It was all perfect. Too perfect. I turned slowly. My reflection stared from the mirror, but behind me the room stretched into empty blackness. A single door stood ahead, open, spilling warm yellow light onto the floor. A voice drifted from it. Arjun, dinner's ready. My mother's voice. My heart clenched, painful and immediate. I took a step forward before I forced myself to stop. No, the voice called again, gentle and familiar. Beta, come downstairs. Tears burned my eyes. This wasn't real, couldn't be real. But God's, it felt real. I backed away, breathing hard. A shadow moved behind the door, small and childlike. The music box began to play. My veins pulsed. Come eat, the voice coaxed. We made your favorite. I squeezed my eyes shut. This isn't real, I whispered. This isn't real. The air grew colder. When I opened my eyes, the doorway had changed. No yellow light, no warm kitchen, just a long corridor. Deep, dark, silent. The child stood inside it, her face half hidden. Her music box chimed softly. You belong with us, she whispered. You always have. No, I rasped. I'm leaving. I'm burning your root. I'm setting them free. Her head tilted. The lights flickered. Then she smiled. Sad, almost human. You think I want this? I froze. Her voice cracked. You think I chose it? I was only 8. For a moment, just a moment, she looked like a real child. Afraid, lonely. Then her expression hardened, rotting back into the thing she had become. You will stay, she whispered. You will forget. The corridor stretched toward me, walls pulsing like flesh. I turned and ran, but the room melted away. The floor vanished, and I plunged into absolute black. I woke with a gasp, chest heaving. Firelight flickered around me. Someone touched my shoulder. Mira's voice shook. "You were whispering." Saying you wanted to go back, I swallowed hard. She tried to make me forget. Showed me my mother, my home. Everything I lost. Mira's expression pained. "She knows your grief. She uses it. The more you want something, the easier it is for her to take everything." Elias approached quietly. "It's time," he said. "The moon is rising." I sat up, gripping the skull totem. "Where is the hidden entrance?" Elias pointed toward the dark horizon. "In the woods behind the road." A place older than the house. Mira handed me a small knife. Simple, rusted. I nodded. Elias tightened the rope around my leg one last time. "Stay awake," he warned. "If you sleep again, she'll take what's left of you." I stood, legs shaking, but determination anchoring me. "Let's finish this." The estranged gathered torches, ropes, and relics. A quiet dread settled over them, but beneath it, hope. Together we turned toward Winterwell Road, now a void of darkness beneath the rising moon. Night sharpened the world to cold edges. Elias walked ahead, torchlight flickering across the desolate path. The others followed behind, silent as shadows. My leg pulsed with black veins beneath the rope. Alive, angry. The trees thickened around us, ancient and watching. Winterwell Road lay somewhere beyond, hidden beneath the dark. "We're close," Elias whispered. Branches parted to reveal a moss-covered stone, well sunk deep in the earth. Roots wrapped around it like ribs, pulsing faintly. "A well?" I asked. "The first entrance," Elias said. "Her grave." The music inside my veins thrummed faster, eager. Mira lit a smaller torch and placed it in my hand. "This is your path," she said. "Remember your name." "It's the last thing that's yours," I nodded. "My name is Arjun Mera. I live." Elias gave me a grim smile. "Let's hope that's still true when you come back." He tied a rope around my torso. "If we feel 3 sharp pulls, we drag you out. If we don't feel anything..." He didn't finish. He didn't need to. I climbed over the edge and lowered myself in. The darkness swallowed me. After a few meters, the stone walls gave way to damp soil, then to hollow space. The air grew hot, breathing against my skin. When my feet touched ground, I lit the torch. I stood in a cavern lined with roots. They writhed slowly, like sleeping snakes. Ahead, a narrow passage shone with faint, unnatural light. I moved. Every few steps I whispered, "My name is Arjun Mera. My father was Rajan. My mother was Kavita. I lived in Yodhpur. The walls shivered as though irritated by memory. The tunnel opened into a chamber, and there it stood. The root, the same one from before, thicker than a tree trunk, pulsing with dark veins that mirrored my own leg. Red fluid seeped down its surface, dripping into a shallow pool. Faces rippled beneath the bark. Mouths frozen in silent screams, eyes blinking weakly, trapped. I stepped closer, stomach twisting. The father's face emerged, tired, broken. His lips moved soundlessly. "Free her." I lifted the iron knife Mira gave me. Every instinct screamed to run. But then, a small voice echoed, "Arjun?" I turned. The little girl stood at the opposite edge of the root, music box in her hands. "You came back," she whispered. Her face wavered, flickering between innocent child and ancient phantom. "You don't have to do this," she said. "If you stay, the pain stops. I can make you forget everything." The music swelled. I felt my memories flicker. My mother's face, my father's laugh, my name. No. I stabbed the torch into the ground and pressed the knife to my arm. Pain seared through me, clearing the haze. "My name is Arjun Mehra," I shouted. The girl flinched, face cracking like porcelain. A deeper voice crawled from her throat. "You were already broken when you arrived. I only offered peace." My leg convulsed, black veins surging. She lifted her hand. The music box opened itself, melody twisting sharp. My memories flooded. My father's funeral, my mother crying alone, me leaving running from grief, hoping a new house would mean a new beginning. She smiled. "You came to forget." "I only helped. I never asked you," I roared. "You didn't have to." Grief is a door. I walked through the faces and the root writhed. I raised the knife. She tilted her head. "Freeing the root frees me. I go everywhere. Not just the house. The world becomes my home." She smiled gently. "And I will never be alone." The horror settled in. If I cut the root, she would escape. If I didn't, she would keep feeding forever. I trembled. "What do you want?" I whispered. She looked almost shy. "A family." The root pulsed, faces screaming silently. I stared into her ancient, hungry eyes. "Then rest," I said. Before she could react, I plunged the iron knife into the root. A scream ripped the world apart. The cavern shook. Faces on the root, contorted voices howling in a dozen languages. The girl shrieked, small body twisting, unraveling into smoke and bone. The veins on my leg writhed, trying to crawl off my skin. But the rope burned bright, symbols glowing. The scream softened. Faces faded. The girl's voice whispered, small again. "Thank you." Her form dissolved. Petals in the dark. The roots shriveled, cracking like dry wood. The cavern collapsed. I yanked the rope. Once, twice, 3 times. The world fell into black. I awoke to cold night air. Elias and Mira held me, dragging me from the well. The rope around my leg had burned away. The black veins were gone. Mira stared, stunned. "You did it!" Elias looked toward Winterwell Road. The sky above it glowed faint red, then went dark. Nothing moved. No lights, no whispers, just silence. "It's over," Elias said. I wanted to believe him. My mind felt frayed, as though pieces had been carved out. But my name remained. "I'm Arjun Mehra," I whispered. "I live." Mira smiled weakly. "You're free." We walked away from Winterwell Road, never looking back. Months later, I moved into a new apartment. Different city, different life. Sometimes I dream of the girl, but she is quiet now, small, human. One night, I found a package at my door. No sender, no address. Inside, a music box, carved with familiar symbols. My heart froze. I almost threw it away. But something stopped me. I wound it gently. When it opened, it didn't play the old haunted lullaby. Instead, a soft, warm melody drifted out. My mother's favorite song. I felt tears sting my eyes. Beneath the lid was a tiny note, written in a child's hand. "Thank you." I remember my name now. No signature, just the scent of old wood and the quiet hum of peace. I closed the box. The house is gone. The memories live on. And as long as I remember who I am, she will never return. My name is Arjun Mehra. I live. I remember. I am free.